I will not talk about the new iPhone. I swear I will not talk about the new iPhone. Oh, Eric. Yes, you will. Hey, what's up, everyone? Today I have the new iPhone X. Just kidding, but I did want to kind of just give my thoughts on everything. I'm not going to regurgitate all the information you have already heard from a lot of people. I am an iPhone 7 Plus user. I got the matte black phone right here. And it's really hard because every year I'm one of the people that do update my phone to the newest thing. The biggest allure of the 7 Plus was the dual lens and everything that it added with it coming from the 6S, and I really wanted a Plus. The 8 Plus, and the X were just announced, obviously, and there were very minimal upgrades, in my opinion, especially in regards to the 8 and the 8 Plus if you're an iPhone 7 Plus user. So I'm just going to kind of break that down a little bit and just give you a little bit of the camera specs, and that's really about it, and just my thoughts. Now, if you're an iPhone 7 Plus user, personally, I don't think there is a need to upgrade to the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus because it's practically the same phone, give or take a couple things. Moving up the video a little bit, you're getting like 4K at 60 frames per second instead of just the 30 you get on your 7 Plus right here. And you're also getting 240 frames per second if you want to do super slow-mo at 1080p instead of 720p. But all that stuff is very minimal, and that comes at a price tag of about $699, $799, all depending on which phone you get. I just don't feel that there is a huge need to jump up to something like this. That, and especially the 8 and the 8 Plus, it's basically an all-glass phone for the most part. And that's to really help with the wireless charging, which I feel is the biggest upgrade. If you want to go for the 7 Plus to the 8 Plus or the 8, is the new wireless charging, which is not really new. Apple's catching up with it. Now, I feel the 8 or the 8 Plus is perfect for the iPhone 6 or 6S Plus or whatever user. I think that is a good upgrade, in my opinion. And that's why I have no interest in this, because I pretty much have the same camera, and I'm just going to save a little bit of money, and then next September I'll get probably what is newer at the time. The really big question comes down to, well, who is the X for? What's it really do? And just kind of what's all the important stuff that came out in regards to just technology, etc. Like I mentioned, a lot of the specs for this stuff have pretty much come from the iPhone 7, but have been tweaked a little bit. And on the 8 and 8 Plus, you have a wide aperture of f1.8 when you're on the wide setting. And if you're on the telephoto setting, if you have the 8 Plus, you are getting an f2.8. The biggest thing about the 8 Plus is now that you have dual lens stabilization, which you didn't have with the iPhone 7 Plus, so you get that telephoto lens now that is stabilized, and that could be good for some people. I don't find that being a major upgrade for me, so that's why I'm not that interested. But if you get the iPhone X or the 10, you're getting an f1.8 at the wide, and you're actually getting a little bit better on the telephoto wise. You're getting an f2.4. The one big loss that none of this happened yet is that there are no raw photo capabilities directly from Apple or anything like that. I would have loved to have seen, hey, you can now shoot RAW on your iPhone. That would have been absolutely amazing. You have to go through third-party apps like Pro Cam or whatever, Plus, and then you could do RAW photos and edit them like you normally would. I felt that that's more important than maybe adding a stabilized thing, in my opinion, since it's one of the most popular cameras on the market. Really, there's one big feature that they added that's in beta, but it still is the portrait mode, but with the 8 Plus, and the X, you can have the front-facing camera, especially on the X, and now you can do the portrait mode, the depth effect on yourself using the front-facing camera, and I feel like that's actually a good thing. You can get that simulated background blur, that bokeh, which looks pretty good if you know how to do it right, and if you're in the right environment. So that's definitely a cool addition if that's something you really care about. I don't take a ton of selfies myself, and if so, I can really frame it the way I want to, but I feel like that is a cool feature. The biggest thing that they did add and what they're testing is now called portrait lighting. Let's break that down a little bit. So essentially, it's going to be a new selection, and it's going to be something you can drag across when you have your camera open to get different types of things. So you're going to be getting something called natural light. So essentially what it is it's not a filter per se. You still compose your image the right way. You can either set it beforehand, and once again, it's on this menu that you can maneuver around, and you pick the look you want, and the A11 chip inside the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, X, and everything like that helps determine the best lighting that it would look like if it was in more of a studio environment. So you do have something that is natural light where it looks normal, it doesn't look anything insane. Then there is a studio light option, which gives you basically more of a clean look, but you get a little bit more of a kick, like if you're in perfect studio lighting. Then you have contour light, which kind of gives you a more dramatic effect around the face, producing a little bit more with shadows. Then you go to stage light, which essentially keeps you get like a little circle, you put it around someone, and then it just like blacks out the background, so you're in a very low-key environment. The last thing they do is stage light mono, which is just a black and white version of that. First, I kind of thought that's gimmicky. It kind of is, but it's something that you could also add after you take the photo as well. So if you take it and you're like, oh, I didn't like this, I'm going to call it effect. I'm going to call it a filter. Then you can change it and go from there. And I think you can also bring it back to normal and you're okay. But that is just something else that they're testing and working with. I'd have to get hands-on with that one. The next thing I want to cover is just with the X, and it's just two things, that there is no more home button, no more fingerprint sensor or anything like that. So you're kind of just on your own in a way. You use something new. And essentially what you're doing is you're using Face ID instead. So you'll see at the little bit of the top right, a little bit at the top of the camera, it has facial recognition. I have some woes about this. It actually failed on stage. It didn't work on the first one. There were some things where either A, it could have been an actual glitch with the technology, or it could have been something where the phone was just turned on for the first time, the passcode wasn't put in. But the fact that it failed kind of worried me, and the whole Face ID thing I'm not sold on. But that's what Apple's going to be doing in the future. That's what's going to be in the new, laptops, MacBook Pros and everything coming forward. It just worries me. I wish that there was the fingerprint option. I just want the features, especially when you're paying premium for these things. We're approaching the day and age now where we're getting about $1,000 for a phone, and they've only give us two options for the 64 and 256 gigabyte. You're already paying starting at $700 for the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, $799, but you're starting at $1,000 for the X, the 10. And in the next couple of years, you're going to be paying $1,500 for a phone. Not too long after that, $2,000 for a phone. So as an iPhone 7 Plus user, there isn't much to make me jump at either of them. The X just looks really cool. Of course, it has the new chip and everything like that, but I just don't. I just don't see it. And saving $1,000, because if the whole thing is a camera play, which is what the 7 Plus or the 7 was to me, the 7 Plus with the dual lenses, doesn't really improve on anything. You get wireless charging, 4K video at 60 frames per second if you like to do a lot of video with that, but it's still the same megapixels, pretty much the same, a little bit of stabilization, but that's just me. If you're a 6 or 6S user, are you interested in this newer stuff? If you're an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus user, how about you? I want to know what everyone has to think down below. To me, I think I'm skipping out on this one, and it kind of hurts a little bit, and it's a first world thing, but just being practical and being realistic. And that's all I got. I normally comment on this every year. I just feel like it's kind of due process and just what you got to do. So let me know your thoughts down below. What was your reaction to the entire Apple keynote stuff for the couple of you watching?